During my travels to the U.S. Northwest last fall, I documented most of my journey to the Pacific, but forgot to mention my return trip heading east. After one last look at the Cascade Mountains, my next stop was by a little town named Bend, Oregon. To the south and east of Bend is plenty of free camping in the Deschutes National Forest. I'd hoped to go caving in the area, but I ended up a few days short of the season as the caves were closed due to bat hibernations. So I mostly hung around the campsite and talked to my neighbors in the woods. One thing I don't probably discuss enough is about other campers. You know, do I camp alone? Where is everybody? You know, I can understand that. And where I am right now, there's actually quite a few people out here. It's like big LM land. I'm in Oregon, forestry land. I think it's about 16-day limit here. I'm not sure. But dispersed camping is allowed. That's not an issue. And yeah, there's people all over the place here. Plenty of people just down the valley. I talked to a few people down there. So yes, I do socialize while I'm out here. But as far as the type of people that camp out here, well, that's kind of a mixed bag. Right here in particular is a lot of people that are, let's say, not wilderness camping or not out here for nature. They're actually living out here, and I know it, and most people know it. They're not doing any harm. They have trailers, they have cars, and I see them in the morning go into town, you know, work for the day, and then come back out late at night. I had a couple of guys just down the valley here came up to me yesterday, asked me if I could give them a boost. Wanted to pay me. I'm not going to take money for boosting you. And I got out my portable charger and went down the hill and boosted them. And I found out my charger was at 75%. So that was a good thing that I checked on that. So it was a win-win in reality. But, you know, I can't really pass judgment on people that just can't afford to live in the cities. I mean, they are expensive, rent, everything else, and they come out here. They're peaceful, they're friendly. Most of them are neat. Some of them are a little messy. You know, they leave junk around their site and bottles and stuff like that. That I don't really appreciate, but most of them are actually quite nice. Do I have any fear? No. I mean, the big thing, and I've said this so many times, is wherever you camp, you've got to have a feel for it. You've got to feel things are right. If you've got any kind of a weird instinct that something isn't right, you shouldn't be camping here. The other thing is, walk around and talk to people. And that way you can feel them out. Know if there's any issues. And if there's issues, leave. There's lots of places, especially out here. There's tons of places you can camp. So you always got to be comfortable, but you always got to talk to the neighbors as well. You all got to get along. Talk to other people that have traveled. That's a big thing. Avoid the fear-mongering YouTube sites that are going to say, oh, you're going to die, and oh, 50 people died here from a squirrel and all this stuff. Look at the real people out there and the ones with real travel experience. If they don't inspire you, it's probably not something you really need. It's the inspiration that's important, because the inspiration will get you motivated to do the research, to find out what you really need, and it's fun. It's fun to prepare for a trip. So no killer squirrels, but there was a chipmunk that was up to no good. As I was traveling down the road in my Jeep, this one appeared on my windshield. I pulled over expecting it would just jump off, but it didn't. seemed a tad confused. Watch as he suddenly disappears. At this point, I became suspicious and opened the hood. Sure enough, he was sitting on the engine block. I wish I'd kept the camera running. As for this little T-Rex, did he pose any danger? Nope. After only a couple of days, I left the Bend area and headed northeast to Highway 26. My plan was to drive across the central and eastern part of Oregon and eventually camp by the Snake River in Idaho. It was pretty uneventful until I noticed that the logging truck I'd been tailing seemed to be losing one of his logs. Didn't feel like sticking around to find out, so I gunned it when the dotted line appeared. Having a little power is a bonus in a situation like this. Somewhere around Mitchell, the terrain went from thick pine forest to more drier surroundings. The trees started to thin out, with smaller species like juniper. However, one particular variety really caught my eye. Although sparse in foliage, it appeared to be bearing fruit right from the highest branches to the base of the trunk. I believe it is identified as a shoe tree, a rare variety that is occasionally spotted throughout America, but for some reason favor Oregon. Although colorful, the fruit seemed to have a peculiar odor, something that reminds you of a gym locker. This may not be the greatest shoe on earth, but it was pretty interesting. Seems Oregon is full of surprises, but I was certainly not expecting the next surprise. Well, folks, as you can see, it's deja vu all over again. I'm at the side of the road with Frank and Linda, who are filming with me, who pulled over. They actually recognized who I was. And yeah, engine overheated. There's coolant all over the place. It's happened before, and it's happened again. But this time, I'm actually pulling my trailer. As you can see, here's little Abner right here. I've got a little bit of space. I got my emergency marker up. AMA's coming. Hopefully it's going to work out fine. At that point, I had to wonder, was that evil chipmunk still in there, nibbling on a rubber hose? Got to take the bad with the good. It's amazing how many people have stopped. It gives you a really good feeling to be in a country like this. Well, here comes the tow truck. Up and all that, but right. It's like, you know, it happened so quick. I'm not taking a chance, and yeah. I didn't know if there's another place to even pull over, so. Well, we're not sure what it is, but we'll tow it into town. It's a good thing I added my trailer to my AAA towing insurance. I learned my lesson in Moose Jaw. We're good. The tow truck driver was kind enough to drop my trailer off at a nearby campsite. Having separate living quarters is a big bonus when your engine goes. Well, here we go. I'm in Clyde Holiday State Park near Mount Vernon, which is a tiny little town in the middle of Oregon, between Bend and Baker City. The tow truck driver was nice enough to drop me off here first before he brought the Jeep into town, so it's in with the mechanic, with the garage, waiting for parts. Got to come from Portland, so hopefully it's not going to take too long. But in the meantime, this isn't bad at all. I mean, this is luxury to me. I mean, look at this. I've got a concrete pad, plug-ins if I need it. I got a little fire pit, hot showers, washrooms here, stuff like that. Yeah, this is luxury. After boondocking and, you know, camping in the snow for a couple of days, not bad at all. So I get a chance to answer some comments, work on videos, do a little hiking. I'm living the life. But I got to keep my fingers crossed that it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg to get it fixed tomorrow. Perfect time for a little stroll in the woods with musical interlude. Well, I decided to take a walk along the John Day River. Now, I wasn't really sure who John Day was, but I believe he was a fur trapper. And found lots of claws, so there must be crayfish here. Another thing I found was really interesting was this. It's one half of an old pair of spurs. Almost looks handcrafted, made of iron. Probably been here a long time. So if nothing else, there's been cowboys through here the last little 100 years or so. But I'm not keeping it. I'll leave it for somebody else to decide whether it's historical or not. With the Jeep running again, it was time to hit the road. Mount Vernon was a great place to spend a couple of days. And if you ever pass through that area, make sure you try out the Silver Spur restaurant for some great home cooking. Well, I'm off and running again. Jeep's fine. The problem was a water pump, which is kind of strange because when the pulley went in Moose Jaw, you'd think they would have changed the water pump, and they didn't. And unfortunately, that came back to haunt me. So 3 months later, deja vu, and I think the problems were related. And I don't want to hear any more whining. Oh, it's a Fiat. It's because you got a Fiat. It's not a Fiat. Fiat did not make Liberties. It's a Jeep. Live with that. Heading east, I had one more quest while still in Oregon. To search for the monster hiding in the Mahler National Forest. Somewhere behind me in the wilderness is the world's largest living thing. It's massive, over 4.5 miles in diameter, and it's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years, even over 1,000 years, and nobody knew it even existed. And I'd love to show it to you, but I'll never find it. Now you'd think something that massive would be easy to spot, but you can't. You can't see it because it lives underground, which is even more creepy. And its nickname gives it all away. It's called the humongous fungus. Yes, there's a big massive fungus out there that grows in the tree roots and actually is killing the trees. Nobody even knew it was there until recently. But that is cool. This is the home of the humongous fungus. To correct myself, it was actually 3.4 square miles of fungus, which is still a pretty big mushroom. An engine-eating chipmunk, stinkfoot trees, and a fun frolicking fungus all made an interesting adventure. I hope you enjoyed this video and will follow me on my next journey as well.